So while I'm sitting here at the TA in Wheeler Ridge, California, about 20 miles outside of Bakersfield, south, waiting for a load to get me moving, I just completed a 34. I want to go over some of my experiences and what I think of Swift Transportation in the almost 2 years that I've been driving for them. It'll be 2 years in March 2017. It's definitely not a terrible company if you're a driver who likes to run. If you're a driver that likes to pick and choose your loads and not run, you get sent to the bottom of the list of available trucks in your area that are going to run, because if you're constantly turning down runs because they're 300-400 miles, sometimes less, you're not dependable. So your DM and the planners aren't going to send you anything that you want, at least. Sometimes you have to take the smaller loads to get the big loads. I did that. For a day or two, I'd run 250, 300 miles, and then I would get a 1,400, 1,600 mile trip after that. But you have to show that you're dependable. Show that you know how to run your hours correctly and legally. Now, that doesn't mean that you should be taking every single load that they send your way. Turn down loads if you don't have the hours to do it, or counter. Sometimes they'll accept a counter. Check the weather of the area that it's supposed to go to. If the weather is shit and you're not going to be able to make it, counter it and tell them it's because of weather. And then that'll be on them to either remove the load from you and give it to somebody who is willing to drive through the shit weather, because I'm not. If I have to chain, I park the truck. Even if it's only for 10 miles, I park the truck. Don't just decline a load because it's a small load. And that goes for any company. And I spend a lot of time talking to other Swift drivers. Let's see here. No, you can't switch around. There's a Swift truck right in front of me. I spend a lot of time talking to other Swift drivers, what their experience is. And most of the time, I get drivers who complain about miles. And my first question is, well, how often do you decline a load? And more often than not, I get the response, if it's not more than 1,000 miles, I decline it. Who cares how the miles add up as long as they add up? As a company driver, I'm a lease operator, so I can kind of be picky about my miles, but I'm also on a dedicated account, so I don't have to worry about being picky. But as a company driver, I can get 3,200 miles a week by running 300, 400, 500 miles a day. Why do you have to have a 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 mile trip? Why does it have to be over 1,000 miles? Sometimes you have to take the smaller loads to get to where you're going, and that's a majority of the Swift drivers I've talked to that currently run for Swift or used to run for Swift. That was their number one complaint, was that they were getting screwed when it came to miles, but they didn't stop to realize that because they were declining loads often, that on their list, on their dispatcher's list of trucks, they're at the bottom because they're not dependable. So pick, like, don't decline your loads. If you want to make, especially during your first 6 months, you don't want to decline loads. And even if you're given a 3-day window to run 350 miles, counter it. Be like, hey, I'll get there in 36 hours from pickup. I'll be there in 36 hours. Can I get a repower or can I deliver early? Add a stipulation. It's like, I will only accept this load if I can get a repower or deliver early. I don't want to sit on this load for 3 days considering it's only 350 miles. Just an example. Don't be an asshole to your dispatcher either. If you constantly complain, moan, bitch, your dispatcher, they have caller ID. They will remember your phone number. And they will not answer the phone. They will not answer your emails. I'm not saying kiss your dispatcher's ass, but don't be a dick about it either. Talk to your dispatcher when you get them. Let them know, hey, I want to run X amount of miles a week. If you can't do that, get me to somebody who can. Keep me moving, and you'll rarely hear from me unless I have a problem or I have a question, or if I'm trying, whatever. Be cordial with your dispatcher. My dispatcher knows me by name, knows my phone number by heart, because I'm always early to my appointment. So I always call in to ask if I can deliver early or get a repower. Just trucking from the outside perspective doesn't look hard, but it is. There is a ton of work ethic when it comes to driving these trucks. And if you don't have a strong work ethic, if you don't want to make money, because there is money to be made, even as company drivers, there is money to be made. If you're not willing to put in an extra hour or two, to put in some extra hard work to make the money that you want to make, this industry ain't for you. Yeah, I sit behind a wheel 9 to 10 hours a day, but what a lot of people don't understand is that at any given moment, my vehicle weighs 78,000 pounds, give or take, because I run refrigerated. All my loads are heavy. So this kind of went from talking about my experience with Swift to kind of the do's and don'ts. I didn't intend for that to happen, but it is what it is. My experience with Swift hasn't been fantastic. I've had great weeks. I've had terrible weeks. I've had weeks where I wanted to call up Jerry himself and ask where he lived so I can drive my truck up his ass, so to speak. But I worked through it. I got around it. No trucking company is perfect. None. You're going to have your ups and downs. Just, you need to find your niche. And I haven't found it yet, but I am on a good account, so I have no complaints as of now. Communication could be a little bit better. I lied. I have one complaint. Communication behind the desk. That could be a little bit better. But and I almost quit after 6 months because I had a hard time being a solo driver. Because when I was training, I had my trainer to fall back on if I trip planned incorrectly, or if I screwed up my hours, or if I screwed up my my logs. I had my trainer to fall back on, and I almost quit after 6 months because I was having a hard time getting everything down. But it is what it is. Swift overall is not a bad company. It could use improvements. Swift is giving me a stepping stone. I'm not going to stay with Swift, but I'm using Swift to get my experience. I haven't had terrible dispatchers. I haven't had fantastic ones either, but all these drivers that complained about their dispatchers and planners and their trucks, like, well, take care of your truck as if it's your own. Yeah, it's a company truck, but take care of it. Take it to get it washed every other week. Swift will reimburse you. Check the oil. You're supposed to during a pre-trip anyway. A lot of Swift's equipment is breaking down and in a ditch on the road or in the middle of the road because our fucking drivers don't pre-trip their shit. That's why I got my own truck. Brand new. So that way I knew what kind of maintenance was being done. I didn't want to worry about getting a truck with 300,000 plus miles and wondering what kind of maintenance was done to it or not done. Just work hard. Make money. Take care of your truck. And I can almost guarantee you that you're not going to have a terrible time. So, I'm sure there are lots of things that I forgot to include. But it is what it is.